For more on what you need to know before this deadline, Daniel Geltrude, tax and business analyst, joining us now. Great to have you on. I laid out a couple of items, but how could the pandemic complicate people's taxes this year?
Well, how does it not complicate everything, right, Jill? I mean, when we're talking about the pandemic, well, for starters, on the IRS side of things, it is taking them much longer to process tax returns. As of the end of January, they still had 6.7 million returns they were still processing from last year. Then the floodgates opened in February, which they had delayed a couple of weeks to allow for them to get prepared for this year's filing, and they got another 35 million more tax returns that are still in process right now. So like every other organization, the IRS, in attempting to protect their employees, had people working remotely, for which they weren't really prepared for. So what it's done is pushed everything back.
Okay, so for people who need to start working on their taxes, should they be filing earlier or should they be filing later?
Well, the general rule here is that if you're getting a refund, you want to try to file as early as possible, especially because right now there could be some delays with everything that's going on with the IRS, with stimulus checks and so on. However, this year we have to put a little bit of an asterisk on that, because if you made more money in 2020, more taxable income in 2020 than you had in 2019, it could impact the amount of stimulus that you get or whether you get that $1,400 check at all. So the IRS, in issuing those checks, has to go by what you have in the system. So if you have your 2019 in and you made less money, you want to hold off on 2020's filing until you get your stimulus money.
Okay, so this year we did see a lot of younger millennial investors and Gen Zers putting money into the stock market, perhaps for the first time. What do those people need to know for in terms of filing their taxes?
Well, look, you have to always, when you're an investor in the market, and depending what your strategy is, you always have to be mindful of what that purchase price was of your investment. And then if you're thinking about making a sale, what is the tax impact? People have a tendency to forget. All of us have a business partner. His name's Uncle Sam. And when you have any profits in anything you do, he's got his hand in your pocket to some extent. So what I would tell people is, just in general, when you are in the market and you're not used to investing with tax implications at the back of your mind or perhaps in the front of your mind, always be careful that your profits are going to be taxed and you're not going to get all you think you are.
It is really good advice. I don't know if everyone thinks about that. Any changes to 2020 taxes that people need to know about?
Well, first of all, that when we talked about the IRS and being behind, how about this? Last year, the IRS paid $3 billion out to taxpayers because they were late in getting them their refund. But keep in mind, if the IRS paid you interest, it's also taxable. So they take part of it back. So keep that in mind. Also, the recovery rebate credit. There are people out there that didn't get their prior stimulus, let's say the $1,200. If you didn't get that, you have the ability to put that on this year's tax return to be able to get the credit for the $1,200. Or if you were supposed to get that and you got something less, you have the ability to get it. Charitable deductions, even if you don't itemize, you could still get up to $300. Not a lot, but take advantage of it if you made those charitable deductions. And of course, the IRS also has a tool that's called Where's My Refund? So you may want to get on there if you've already filed and check out the status of where you stand.
And the best part of filing taxes is, of course, the refund. How do you make the most of a tax refund?
Well, I tell people if you're getting a tax refund, you kind of screwed up a little bit. And the reason is that you allowed the IRS to hold your money. The best tax planning means that you file your tax return, you don't owe anything, and you didn't get a refund, so you had perfect planning. However, some people will use the IRS as a savings tool. I tell people when you get that refund, the best thing that you can do is take down high interest debt, especially something like credit cards. There's a lot of ways to spend a refund. People feel like it's found money. Let me go buy this or that. The smartest play is always to get rid of high interest debt because it always holds you back in your financial future.
All right, really good advice in a year or 2 years like no other. Daniel Geltrude, tax and business analyst. Great to have you on.